And so I'm really excited tonight to share with you that last week I had the grace upon the approval of the elders to put my signature on a piece of paper representing us as a team that signed the contract to purchase our brand new student building, which is the Union building right next door here to our property, which is absolutely incredible. And now, this move comes with a lot, and I'm getting ready just to roll through it. There's a lot involved in what this opens up. Let me say again, we don't have a growth strategy, we have a sending strategy. Some of you, are we going to plant churches? We sure pray so. Are we going to send out lot families? We sure pray so. Are we going to raise up church planters? We sure pray so. Are we going to send out missionaries? Yes. Okay, all of those things are going to happen. It's just, how do we steward? Right now, our high schoolers, okay, for those that have never seen it, I walked in it again this past Wednesday. They meet in our office. Let me tell you something about all those high schoolers in our office. Not great, okay? It's constrained. And so a new student building, I'm gonna walk through the details of it here in a second, are gonna give an amazing opportunity for our middle schoolers to get out the basement, for our high schoolers to have a place where a small group doesn't have to meet in a bathroom, and where we can steward what God is doing in the next generation. This was a picture of our fallback from 2023. God is doing this. I mean, raising up a new generation. And because he's given us a heart to disciple, even our model of student ministry in raising up, in empowering, in equipping and discipling, it's not just throwing candy at kids and hoping they latch on to Jesus. We are teaching our children the gospel, 18 and under. They're raised in the gospel from you. They're hearing the gospel in ML Kids, and they're being trained in the gospel in ML Students. And I hope that logo, ML Kids or ML Students, that it doesn't lead you to faceless teenagers or faceless 9-year-olds. They have faces. And even more, they have hearts. And it's time for us as a body to continue to fight for them. Now, the reason why we saw that purchase as so strategic was because we knew it would lead to a domino effect that could take place over the next several years. The elders in stewarding a time and resources, as the elders have looked at what's happening on Wednesday nights. Again, I know I've shared this with you, but some people ask me, so Mark, when you leave a Wednesday night, how do you feel when it's standing room only? And how do you feel when all these things are happening? And I just consistently say, I walk out of that side door that's needed to be replaced for years, but I walk out of that side door every Wednesday, and instead of this overwhelming sense of accomplishment, which I truthfully never feel, I walk out often in tears, just with the call to care well for you, to steward well hearts, to shepherd you well. And so the growth doesn't bring this hey man, way to go. It's truly God with almost this awe and reverence of you like I've never experienced. How could we best care for the church? And so that strategic purpose and purchase is going to lead to a domino effect. Over the next several years, this is how things will begin to unfold. We'll purchase what's in the blue, the Union building. And there is, of course, a purchase price that comes with that. We prayed for the union to offer it to us for free. We did get it under market value, and they have been super gracious to us, which, I know some of you have parked over there, and, there's been some folks that haven't been too happy on their union night, which we won't have to contend with anymore, by the way, which is a grace. But they have been super gracious to us throughout the years, and the leader has been a massive, massive gift. And so the purchase price of the union building is $800,000. That seems hefty, but I want to explain again, under market value, the appraised value of that building is just underneath $900,000. The union is selling it to us with new HVAC units, with brick that has just been tuck pointed. Yes, with a parking lot that could use a little love, okay? But they're selling it to us for almost $100,000 under market value. And that's just many, many years of building and nurturing a relationship. So, some of you don't know this, but there's been several times with We Love St. Charles where I've gone to them and asked for them to partner with us on events that we're doing, and they have supported us. And so this isn't for them, this isn't hey, we're making money here. They really see it as an opportunity to bless us as well. So the next time you park over there and you see some of the union guys, please thank them. We're estimating the renovation cost to be around $250,000. I'm going to go over what the renovations will be, of course, including roller coasters and aquariums here in a second. For those that struggle with math, the estimated total cost is $1,050,000. Now, in our body, many of you don't know this, we have some very skilled folks. I am so encouraged to tell you this because this has been 18 and a half years coming, okay? For 18 and a half years, every leak, every building issue, every HVAC, all of those things have come across my desk, okay? And listen, I've owned it, and I've tried to steward our resources well. And part of the reason why we've done it that way, I believe, is just because I've been able to help us negotiate cheaper rates. And sometimes those didn't turn out for us because maybe we bought what we paid for. But I'm excited to tell you that last Thursday, our very first part-time facility director started. We hired a facility director, which means no longer will a leak come across my decision-making desk. I praise God, all right? So Mark Atkinson, who's been around the body, is just, man, he's got a background in civil engineering. I mean, this job is way underneath his skill set. And we casted it to him. We're like, brother, like 20 hours a week, but we're getting ready to roll into a whole bunch of things. Could you really own a lot of these things and help lead us in the future? And so he has graciously accepted that job. So please, when you see him, just give him a big hug, all right? And say thank you. Now, also in our body, all right, we have some very skilled, and one in particular skilled architect. Justin Stichter, as many of you know, he designs roller coasters and things like SeaWorld, okay? So when I approached him about a student building, again, that seems a little bit under his pay grade, but he has been gracious enough to give us some renderings, some sketches of what the student building is going to look like. Again, in our overall scope, it's going to look very similar to the back of our current facility. You'll see here in a second, we have an overall campus plan, and so you'll see 2 garage bays that open up to a massive lounge hangout area in the student building, but it'll have a very similar feel to our current facility. This is Daniel Williamson here giving the peace sign, so appreciate that. Thank you, Justin, for adding that. Again, this is coming at it here from the east side of the building, looking more towards our current facility. We're still in process of of working out if we can add this turf grass area, but we're trying to make an area, of course, safe to the road access. We'll figure all those things out, okay? But just enjoying some space. On the interior, again, there's gonna be an open space that can facilitate a hang and opportunity for our kids to chill and be together. There's so much happening in our student ministry. And again, like seeing the relationships that are building. I went in both areas, the basement and the high school area, and just seeing what the Lord is doing and knitting our students together is absolutely incredible. I think Justin drew this by hand. I mean, this is incredible. So he even added like the lion and the lamb painting, which I'm hoping he'll just paint on his own on the wall. It's just a really, really cool facility, again, that opens up then to two larger worship areas. And so basically on a Wednesday night, what will happen is the students come in, there's this open lounge area, and then on one side will be a large open middle school area, and then on the other side, a large open high school area, separated by a middle section with bathrooms and the like. And so again, if you were just to lay all this out, this is how it would lay out. Very simple, no frills, just like our facilities. Very, very simple, but a place for them to gather and for us to facilitate the shepherding of generations. And so we're super, super excited about this layout. And I met with the architect that will be taking Justin's ideas and putting it into deeper drawings. And he is very excited about this plan. Now, as I said, this leads to a domino effect. With the purchase of the Union building, on many prayer walks back and forth, it's going to lead to a new auditorium that will sit right in between where we're currently sitting and the Union building. This again is noted here by a black box. This isn't what it's gonna look like, all right? Some of you are like, Justin's drawings are really good. What happened here? Okay, this is just to show you where it's gonna be. Some of you wondering timing. We're in a one step at a time journey right now. Okay, and so our step tonight is to pursue the student building as we continue to steward resources well, do all of the site and campus planning research. Again, we just signed the contract last week so that we can set ourselves up for a larger box. And I want to be clear, some of you are like, new auditorium, like, oh, sweet, and we're going to have Starbucks up in there, and we're going to have this, and this is literally going to be a box. It's going to be a box with seats, okay? Like, I just want to make sure we're on the same page. Like, there's going to be a bathroom or two, but I think what we've seen about this space is, like, it's all right. This is what we need. We don't need more than we need, okay? Yes, would it be great to house a few more folks? For sure. And some folks have said, oh, sweet, so we're going down to one gathering. Well, hold on a second. Think about it. Like 5:30, are you wanting to start coming to 7:10? And some of you are like, please, God, no, right? Okay. And the 7:10 allows us to have middle schoolers in high school before. And the 8:45 allows us to minister to a lot of young folks that we are. So we will stay 3 gatherings simply because of what the Lord is doing in each of those 3. It's just what we see facilitating. So this, just so you understand from a seat capacity, this room houses about 600. There's been some Wednesday nights where it seems like it's housing more than that, all right? We're just Timothy, so you know, we're still under code though, okay? We're still under code. No worries. I'm serious, we are. We're under code, we're fine. So what ends up happening is our current facility, where we're at right now, becomes a massive area for ML Kids. Okay, so So you have office over there. This facility will be, kids will double our kids' space, will make our classrooms more accessible, easier to utilize. Again, I know, like we've all, okay, Some of and Lauren and our team, they are doing phenomenal with what they got, okay? But we've sliced this thing up as much as we can, okay? So short of them little kids starting to grab the bathrooms, like it's tough. So again, you'll see a massive renovation, the new auditorium in between, the student building on the other side. And so again, God in his grace over the next couple years, our hope is maybe by this year, next time, by next fall at this time, we're really starting to say, okay, here's how we're gonna take steps forward. And some of you are like, we don't have time. And church, I want to remind you, like we're not on our time. Like it's not our time. And we're not going to put us in a position of compromise. We will not. We need to walk by faith and not by sight and walk patiently. Are we together? And so if like all of a sudden we're like, oh, and let's buy the apartment complex and let's do this and like, let's just walk by faith and not by sight and trust in the Lord. So in 3-4 years, maybe before then, we'll see how the Lord fleshes this out. This will be our long-term campus. Now, I'm sure what some of you are wondering is how we're going to fund that $1,050,000 purchase. I appreciate you asking, and I'll try to give us some understanding of the how. God is so gracious and kind. With no elder pursuit, with no fundraising plan, somehow a family, maybe a conversation that had happened months ago, somehow had heard like, maybe one day this will be the reality. That family reached out and said, hey, is that thing happening? Well, it's funny you should ask that. Actually, it looks like the Lord is providing. It looks like things are coming together. That family has come back unasked, unprompted. They've come back with a $225,000 donation. Yeah, this is... Now, most of our elder team doesn't even know who that is. This person is asked to be anonymous, this family. They'll never be celebrated. In fact, over and over and over in conversations I've had with them, they've just said, don't celebrate. It's just an act of obedience. So humble, so generous. So God has provided. Our goal, though, with that as a great foundation, is to raise $550,000 in one day. I hear you. Now, many ask why. Why one day? Part of it is my experience. I've been a part of funding campaigns, and it can just kill a church. And sometimes it's needed and necessary, but with not equal gift amount, but with equal sacrifice, with equal obedience. I want to show you how quickly we can get to $550,000. The Lord's got a big wallet. It's not our stuff, it's his. So a $225,000 donation already given. We have 528 covenant members as of tonight. On March the 13th, if we average $500 per covenant member, so for Heidi and I, $500 per, $1,000 total, we can raise $264,000 in one day. Not every covenant member can give $500. Many covenant members will give a lot more. We're not going to celebrate whether it's $5 or $225. But as a church, we do have an opportunity to take equal ownership. You've been so gracious, you've been so generous in giving. This gift would be above your normal giving. But just imagine, all right, God, like you're going to have to do an amazing work in one day on March the 13th. Now, why March 13th? It gives us about 5 weeks to pray. Heidi and I, gives us 5 weeks to pray, all of you. It gives us a chance to rally and encourage one another. March the 13th is a Wednesday, and so we'll have an opportunity to give here, on the app or the website, however it is that you normally give or want to give, on one day to say, all right, God, could you provide? That then leaves us, some of you are doing the math, outside of covenant members, many of which will give, who are part of the body, see themselves as here, they're just not yet covenant members. By raising $61,000 through those 3 gifts, we can raise over $500,000 in one day. I also believe that it's possible that we see over and above that. Now, why pursue it in this way? Well, if you do it this way, then with the $500,000 loan, which the bank has already said, no problem, our finances are in great order, it would keep us at that 50% or under what we owe. We would owe about $1.5 million with a $500,000 loan. We would own about $3 million. So I want you to see the stewardship. That's our desire. Yes, do we want to pay these things off, of course. And we can do that as a body, but we're going to have to do it together. And so we're calling this Raise Them Up. Think of it as a one-day generational investment. All I can speak for from a personal standpoint are my 3 kids. 17, 14, 13. And church, you have been a huge part of raising them up. They have a gospel perspective in part because of how you care for them and love them, not just in the ministries, but I think of all the experience of lot families. Yes, there's been some awkward moments. There was a time when Avery was really young and she was going to the bathroom, and one of the young men in our lot family, Avery, knocked on the door, yelled real loud, and he went to the door and opened it up just to make sure she was okay, and she asked if he could wipe her, and there's been some awkward moments. But seriously, and I mentioned Timothy already a couple times. Avery right now is doing an internship with our church staff. And by being around Timothy in our staff meeting last week, she said, man, I really like Timothy and his heart for the Lord. Just things like that. And so what if on one day we had a chance to raise them up together? And yes, making a generational investment while at the same time knowing that that's just one piece of what will impact ML Kids, of what will impact our seating, and ultimately what's going to impact our sending. And so one day of raising them up. March the 13th. Lastly, when this came up in constant conversation with this family that gave this donation was this moment where Jesus makes an example. He sat down opposite the treasury and watched the people putting money into the offering box. Some have asked us where we get the joy box from. I mean, it's here called biblically the offering box, but I think our liberty is okay calling it the JB. Many rich people put a lot of sum in it. So the observation is a lot of rich people, and they're coming and they're giving. And a poor widow came and put in 2 small copper coins, which make a penny. And I love the fact that Mark notes that. This is awesome. This is awesome what Jesus does in this moment. And he called his disciples to him. He wants to make an example of this moment. And in the most intimate way, you can picture this, like, come here, boys. And he's looking at this scene unfold, and he said, truly, I say to you, this poor widow has put in more than all those who are contributing to the offering box. For they all contributed out of their abundance, but she, out of her poverty, has put in everything she had, all she had to live on. And Jesus makes an example. I remember when I was in college and I had more time to give than I had resources, but I gave it. And I remember how $5 was so sacrificial. I made $300 a month by being a youth director, and it wasn't good stewardship, but I would cash my check and put it in my glove box. And Heidi questioned my method, but I just kept it there so that as the Lord called, I would give or supply, and yes, every once in a while I'll take her out on a date. But I remember like not having much resource, but still the resources I had, the chance to give it because it wasn't mine. And so I'm calling us, church, to pray through over the next 5 weeks how the Lord would have you steward what's not yours. Your house, your cars, your stuff. None of it is ours. It's just ours to steward. And yes, like biblically, does the scripture say in Matthew 32, thou shalt give X amount to the raising up of generations in a student building? Absolutely not. But we do have an opportunity for us to put ourselves before the Lord and say, God, what would you have us give? 5 weeks of considering. March 13th, we'll come together and let's watch this unfold. We're going to close on the property mid to late April, maybe early May. Our hope is by this fall, students are in there rocking and hearing the gospel as we continue to walk through this step by step. Imagining tonight also the chance to welcome in 24 new folks into what the Lord is doing in our midst is incredibly humbling. And so here's what we're going to do, church, as we consider all these things and we understand the cost. 3 men that have counted the cost and have said they want to shepherd. A whole bunch of people in this room that have counted the cost and said it's better to be in community and to pursue them together. And 24 more tonight that are saying we want to be a part of this mission, what God's doing. So I'm going to ask here in a second that they all roll over here, begin to take off your shoes, our elders to the middle of the square, and everyone else. This is going to be challenging, but if we can come around the square over here as we welcome them in. Come on, let's move over.